Hello everyone. So let's begin with the February event from Agile Network India. So before beginning, let us start with the introduction. Welcome to Agile Network India. Agile Network India February event. So Agile Network India, to introduce about Agile Network India is a leading thought leadership community. So our vision is to bring the to the best content to the community through collaboration with expert professionals. Mission is to be most resourceful learning platform in the world. So Agile Network India is founded by Priyank DK Pathak and is open for everyone interested in connecting, learning, and sharing new ideas, point of views, and proven concepts. Agile Network India. How to get involved with Agile Network India? So Agile Network India is present across India and continuously growing. Uh, so the chapters are spread across India. You can get involved as a speaker, volunteer, participants, reviewer, sponsors, and as a hosting organization. For more details about how to get involved, you can visit our website agilenetworkindia.com/get involved page. I would like to thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. Innovation Roots is a leading consulting and training service provider helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneer in niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more details about Innovation Roots, please visit www.innovationroots.com. There is a score. We invite sponsorship. Agile Network India pledges for two sponsorship options: community sponsorship and conference sponsorship. So, for more details about community sponsorship and conferences, you can visit our website agilenetworkindia.com or you can reach to one of one of us from our team. So essence of Agile Network India. So when this particular platform is built so that everyone can participate with their own capacity and have their own, with, they can have their own learnings. So when they be part of this community, they can go with a thought like they have learned something. This is how something can be done. Okay, this is a data point which I was looking for, or this is a data point which is useful for you. Oh, this solution can be tried. So the essence is that whomsoever is part of the community in whatever capacity, they can they can have their own key takeaways. So today's agenda. So as mentioned earlier, so we have this particular event for 2 days, and this is a monthly event, and we are today with the February event. So today we will have 6 sessions, and tomorrow we will be having 6 sessions. So today we will be having sessions from Delhi chapter, Gurugram, Pune, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, and Bhubaneswar chapters. So we will be having sessions from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning, and we will have a 2 hour break after that, and we will rejoin at 3 o'clock, and it will go till 6 o'clock. So today's first session would be from Delhi chapter, Designing the Future with Technology Disruptions by Narang sir. Post that we will have from Gurugram chapter, DevOps Best Practice in the Agile World, followed by Pune chapter, Learning Agility Under Nature's Mentorship. After the break, we'll be having panel discussion from Ahmedabad chapter, Is Your Product Market Fit? Post that, Hyderabad chapter will have a very interesting talk about Script Your Success Story. We will end our day from Bhubaneswar chapter, where you will hear a case study about AI analytics powering the future business. So this is how we have the day one planned for today. So before we begin with the actual event, let's look into do's and don'ts. It's anytime it is good to join 5 minutes before the start time. Use high quality speakers and headphones for better sound quality. Please keep your microphones muted and video disabled, as this may cause disturbance and bandwidth issue. Questions will be taken via chat box. Please enter your questions in the chat box. So with, with the limited time, we will try to accommodate as many questions as possible. For that, our facilitator or moderator will help us to read the questions. If time permits, we will try to open the line. So please post this event. Please fill the feedback form after the event to help us to understand more about the event and management. We appreciate your cooperation. So thank you for joining everyone on this weekend. So you can follow us on different social channels, YouTube channel, SlideShare, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we are live on uh, Instagram recently. You can please join us there. Okay, and for more details, you can visit www.agilenetworkindia.com.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning and happy weekend. Thank you for joining us. So today, I am your facilitator for this event, and I'm also working with Agile Network India as a volunteer for Delhi chapter. So when we talk about disruptive technology, what are these? So these are the innovations which impact and alter the way consumer, industry, or businesses work. And with every innovation, we have seen there is a fair share of pros and cons. Today, we have with us Mr. N. Kishore Narang, who is going to help us understand how we can design our future with these disruptive technologies. Mr. Narang has 43 years of experience in the field of education, research, and technology advisory. He has also worked with many business houses and helped us build smart homes and smart product with the motive of ensuring that our earth is smart and green place to live. So welcome, Mr. Kishore Narang. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. Okay, so I think first of all, let's talk about the current scenario. Prompts us to look at the future of life on Earth, because a crisis as life-altering as the coronavirus pandemic naturally inspires speculation about how it will change everything. These are days definitely to be silent, keep quiet, and introspect. Let us understand ourselves and we also these days, or maybe last couple of years, 2 years more or less, we also got to learn that human desire to overpower, avariciousness to dominate people and land, desire to rule the universe comes to nothing in front of a nanovirus which stealthily takes just a few seconds to vanish the whole humanity. Starting from a wet market in China's Wuhan or maybe a nearby lab, the novel coronavirus has reached the remotest corners of the world. The impact it has had and still continues to have on each and every aspect of our life is in fact beyond words. We may not yet know how this story ends, but we already know for sure that this pandemic has brought the greatest reversal of our times, turning the world along with its wisdom on its head. This is a free chance to learn and unlearn ourselves. And when we are talking, since we are technologists and we are looking at technological perspective, so when we look at technologies, so the question that we have been always asking ourselves, are they boon or bane? Because it has been observed that the technology developed by human beings in the last 2 to 3 centuries have had a major impact on Earth's climate and our and our nature's equilibrium. Some believe that we have reached a point of no return. This can have a huge impact on life on Earth, especially of the human species. However, while technology has been responsible for most of it, technology also seems to have solutions for it. And we have seen that this pandemic has catapulted 2 diametrically opposite paradigms to the focus of mankind: digitalization and sustainability. When it comes to digitalization, we have seen how digitalization came to the rescue of the mankind, whether it is our personal life, our social life, our professional life, or even the business, commercial, industry, nations, and even how it helped us fight the virus, even take care of the patients, hospitalization and all those. And last but not the least, how the digitalization helped us develop the vaccine at such a warp speed that has never been presented in the history of vaccination or even medical sciences. But then also, the first couple of months of lockdowns across the globe also showed us the importance of sustainability. If you remember, during these times, first few months, our sky started turning sky blue from the grays. Okay, we said the ozone layer started filling, and even in our concrete jungles, we started hearing the chirping of the birds, which had become extinct for quite many decades. So I think how do we now balance about these two things? That is the question in front of the mankind today, and that's where I think we as technologists need to have more of a balanced approach towards technologies rather than very, you can say, over hyped approach to digitalization of technologies. And yes, everybody talking about the new normal, disruption, but the way we would like to look at it is as I would like to talk more about disruptive innovation rather than disruption is everywhere. Okay, disruption is everywhere, and the future is uncertain. No one knows what the world will look like even a decade from now. As we head into the future, we are surrounded by disruptive innovation. Whether it is artificial intelligence, driverless cars, space exploration, or quantum computing, it can be hard for even the most enthusiastic technophiles like me to stay up to date with all the rapid advances taking place and coming down the line. These innovations are changing the world as we know it. For example, how combination of AI, IoT, and blockchain is creating both disruption as well as the opportunity in the enterprise world, not just for consumer-facing businesses, but even for their internal operations within the enterprises. Over the coming years, what will be most important development in disruptive technology? We are yet to see. Okay. So, as we look to the years and decades ahead, tech disruption will be driven as much by the methods and systems as it is by the devices we associate with tech disruption. The pace of innovation is incredibly fast, with new things getting discovered daily. The future trends in technology are very diverse, very intertwined, and very promising. There are several developments that have and will continue to shape our business strategies. From automation to sustainability, organizations are adopting to a whole new wave of consumer preferences. And when we talk about disruption, the new normal, I can't stop but think about the peacemaker that ironically named advanced nuclear missile that emerged from the US arsenal during the Cold War. It had the ability to carry 10 independent payloads, each of which was 20 times more powerful than the first nuke dropped on Hiroshima. In fact, this incident, this peacemaker, changed the future of warfare forever. The incident indeed created the worst carnage known to mankind and have made every weapon used until then obsolete. It changed the fundamental principles of warfare and is to date deterring humanity from plunging headfirst into another world war. Like this pandemic is going to have a profound and everlasting impact on how the human race evolves in the post-COVID-19 era. Today, the management of large organizations, startups, and even governments alike face the same challenge that Roosevelt did during the Cold War. Will your organization today approve a radical idea, allocate funds, and be an early adopter amidst crisis? Or will it stay stuck in the labyrinth of your legacy and perish? The global business dynamics is going to witness a sea change in the coming times. As Professor Clayton M. Christensen, the scholar who introduced the disruptive innovation theory, says, disruption is a process, not an event. And innovation can only be disruptive relative to something else. So the question is, are you going to be an innovator, an early adopter, or a laggard? And when we talk of coming back to technologies, I like to give you two different flavors of technology, different aspects of technologies. One is the most profound technologies. What are the most profound technologies? These are those that disappear. How they disappear? Because they weave themselves into the fabric of everyday life until they are indistinguishable from them. And then we talk about disruptive technologies. Disruptive technology is a bearer of tremendous opportunity and equally harbinger of obsolescence. Technology's impact on society and business is substantial if not underestimated. Though product cycle times are accelerating, the underlying technologies actually unfold over many, many years. Within each trend, there are multiple enabling technologies, all at various stages of maturity and adoption. For example, artificial intelligence, if you take the case, the current wave of progress and enthusiasm for AI began around 2010, driven by three factors that built upon each other. The availability of big data from many sources, dramatically improved machine learning approaches and algorithms, the capabilities of more powerful computers. As you know, artificial intelligence has been in the academics and research for more than 4 decades, but it actually started proliferating because the enabling technologies had got matured, and there were some very interesting ways to actually realize the dreams of implementing some artificial intelligence algorithms in the real life examples and problem solving. So this is a typical example of the disruptive technology and the artificial intelligence. What better than a robo trying to repair itself, or rectify itself, is that kind of artificial intelligence we all are looking at. But I'll get into AI later, this thing. But that brings me to another interesting aspect of how do we look into the future. So there's a very interesting and very famous 3 Ps and a W model of futurology. Here, the futurology or future studies or future research and foresight can be summarized as being concerned with 3 Ps and a W: possible, probable, and preferable futures, plus wildcards, which are low probability, high impact events should they occur. Even with high profile probable events such as the fall of telecom costs, the growth of internet, the aging demographic of particular countries, there is often significant uncertainty in the rate of continuation of a trend. That thus a key part of future analysis is managing of uncertainty and risk. So these are the three different like this is what you are looking at, but okay, these different things, and these are the wild card, plausible, possible, and this thing. But what we ultimately look at is the preferable one, because this is where our vision matches with our requirements, and that's how we look at it. So it is strongly advised to leverage 3 Ps and a W model of futurology, okay, and strive to capture the shifting socio-technological megatrends and forces to design a resilient and sustainable future, overarching or look into a particular domain that is of your interest to you. This model actually enables systemic investigation of future, starting with the default business as usual scenario. If we do not do anything, it helps us review several scenarios under the threats of possible, probable, preferable, and wildcard futures and identifies the likely consequences. The most plausible scenarios are then identified and tracked to enable future strategies, updates to take cognizance of such trajectories into the future. So COVID-19 is a living example of wildcard future, low probability, but the kind of impact it has had is a very, very high. So this is one of the, I thought I must share with you, that if you want to really look into the future, this could be one of the very interesting approaches that you could adopt. But anyway, let's do a little bit of crystal ball gazing into the technological disruption. So we already know that space tourism is already here. Am I right? We could also start seeing delivery drones finally start making deliveries. A hyperloop could take us in between cities, and the initial trials have already been done. Space trips designed to send people to Mars are already being discussed, worked, and developed upon. Virtual reality could replace textbooks during the next decade. The smartphones will become obsolete because all this compute will be integrated into our bodies, our clothes, and everything. Super tall buildings could function like mini cities in the next 20 years. We could rely entirely on renewable energy by the year 2050. Biotech, it has come at the forefront of superhumans. The people who are getting more and more aware of their health and the method they can implement in order to prevent or overcome diseases and disablement. Technology embedded with biology reshapes the playing field of medical institutions. Key in this accessibility and scalability. From biohackers to CRISPR or Cas9, gene editing, etc. This new industry is at the forefront of rapid growth and discussion. And so that's how we call it an arrival of bio-digital convergence. In the coming years, bio-digital convergence, technologies could be woven into our lives in the way that digital technologies are now. Biological and digital systems are converging and could change the way we work, live, and even evolve as a species. More than a technological change, this bio-digital convergence may transform the way we understand ourselves and cause us to redefine what we consider human or nature. It may also impact profoundly our economy, our ecosystem, society. So being prepared to support it while managing its risk with care and sensitivity will shape the way we navigate social and ethical consideration, as well as guide policy and governance conversation on this a very important paradigm. So some of the aspects of biodigital convergence, human augmentation. Machines could start thinking like human as early as 2025. Prosthetics could get so advanced in the next 10 years that they could give people new skills. Clothing could give people superhuman skills in the next 10 years. We could live in a matrix-like virtual world. Also in a few decades, if not more, and we could become something like cyborgs, which we have seen in the all the movies, science fiction movie. Hyper automation which is a step beyond robotic process automation. Then autonomous things. Okay, the field of autonomous things is another thing. We already know Internet of Things, but autonomous things, and then all these things becoming autonomous with a lot of intelligence and automation. Then Internet of Robotic Things. We are just now talking about robots, but then even a plethora of robots which are communicating with each other in proper synchronization and coordination will give us a very new, different way of looking at things and getting our larger or complex problems solved by the Internet of Robotic Things. Then edge computing, I think you all know from it's one of the very, very useful way of looking at the technology, because earlier our focus was more on cloud, but I think we are shifting a lot of compute, a lot of power, a lot of workloads shifting to the edge compute, edge side. So edge computing is another very, very interesting you can say domain to look at for you, particularly for IT guys. Then artificial to singularity, I don't have to tell you, there's a whole lot of buzz around it. But what will happen, we'll see that over a period. Then metaverse, the latest buzzword. So metaverse can be designed as a simulated, it can be defined as a simulated digital environment that uses augmented reality, virtual reality, and blockchain, along with concepts from social media to create spaces for rich user interaction, mimicking the real world. I'll not get into details of all these. You can go through, I'll share the slide deck with the organizers. But I think you are all familiar what metaverse is all about, and there's so much of hype and buzz. Then Web 3.0. The current internet or the Web 2.0 relies on system and servers owned largely by big corporations, raising concerns over system vulnerability and control. But in Web 3, world activities and data would be hosted in a network of computers using blockchain rather than corporate server. The focus is on anonymous single sign-on, individual ownership and tokenization, and self-governance. So we are looking at a distributed internet tomorrow. Okay, now let's see how it goes, but there are still a lot of you can say issues to be resolved before we really get into the Web 3.0, but a lot of work is already being done there. Then we are talking about democratization of technologies, and then these cloud will anyway play a major role in the global accessibility services, data, and even availability of super broadband 5G networks that will open a very major new this thing. And in fact, interestingly, if you see, the pace of advancements in technology is increasing at an unprecedented rate. The rapid change is largely fueled by the democratization of technology and innovation, as cutting-edge technologies like cloud computing is providing modern companies access to new disruptive technologies. They have a lot to offer to an organization in an effort to transform its traditional business processes, advancing efficiency and leading to competitive advantages at the same time. Okay, and beyond these, again, there are different ways of looking at different disruptive technology, but then there are three mega trends that you see everywhere. AI everywhere, and there are again sub trends within these mega trends. Transparently immersive experience and digital platforms. So these are some of the mega trends, if you would like to call, consider them from that perspective. And these are again ones, another way of looking at disruptive technological trends, okay, which you, I think, are very much familiar with all this. Then going beyond technology, our ICT and IT world, there are so many other disruptive technologies that are changing the way we look at things. So gene editing, you already know the CRISPR technology. It is coming to the mankind rescue in all these latest problems that we are facing. Then cellular agriculture is another very interesting area to look at. I'm not diving into all these individually, but you can look at cellular agriculture, okay, and 3D fruit printing. Already we have animal-free, cultured plant-based version of meat, milk, eggs, and leather, or in other words, they are milk without cow, eggs without hen, and meat without animal. Currently, the technology for producing meat is developing fast in the sector, both from plant sources as well as through cell culture. Then vertical farming, I think you already must have heard. So we are looking at, because of mega cities and pollution there, we are looking at vertical farming within the cities to help fight the climate change, pollution, as well as solve the problem of having the you can say agriculture produced within the city rather than coming it from far away villages and all that. Then driving CO2 emissions to zero. So there's a carbon capture, use, and storage technologies that a lot of work is happening today, which is very relevant to the climate change. Then there's a lot of work going on in zero carbon car, where there'll be carbon, cars with a zero carbon footprint. Okay. Last but not the least, I think a very human kind of a factor that we need to look at is conscious consumerism, from wealth to well-being. Consumers now start to understand that the current impact of human being on the world needs to be changed. This means that people not only start to live healthier nutrition, but also want to have more insights in the origin of the food and goods towards a more sustainable planet. And coming back to digital technologies, I think these are some of the technologies you already know about. They are together and individually they are helping bring the digital revolution in the world. IoT, 5G, now we are already started talking 6G, big data, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and whatnot. But so let me give you a little bit of insights into IoT, 5G, maybe AI, and a few things before I close. So IoT, a concept that originally sounded like something out of science fiction movie, the Internet of Things, is in fact a reality, and one that is bound to become even more widespread. From being considered as one of the most disruptive technologies in the early years of last decade to coming on the verge of becoming one of the most profound technologies by weaving itself into the fabric of everyday life until it becomes indistinguishable from it. And if you want to define the IoT, there are multiple ways of defining, a lot of different, some people like our cellular service providers would like us to believe you just have a SIM and you are connected to the cloud, and then you can control any device which has a embedded SIM, and you can control it, monitor it, scan it from anywhere in the world. Then there's another this thing school of thought which says that, okay, one box like a gateway, whether it is in your home or in your building, through that you connect to the internet, and then you have a remote monitoring, remote control, and all those things. Then all these, building automation, smart lighting, smart grid, smart health, smart industrial automation, last but not the least, smart cities. These are again different, use cases, verticals, horizontals for the IoT, where IoT is getting proliferated. Okay, and there are so many services that in IoT there you can enable and you can use it for. So what it is all about, the way there are multiple definitions, but the way I would like to simply define it is Internet of Things is all about heterogeneous and aware devices interacting with each other to simplify people's life in some way or the other. So it is basically about helping the mankind, the society, the business, solving the problem. But yes, of course, there are examples like smart toothbrush, smart hat, and all that, but those are not the kind of things, or smart shoes, that really are the kind of cases we are looking at. We are more looking at into something there which add value to the mankind, society, and individuals. And a quick technical perspective, not going very deep dive, because I see we do not have electronics engineers here. So there's a sensing layer, there's a communication layer, and then a management layer. So management layer is where all the IT skills come in handy for managing all the IoT devices, controlling, monitoring, and collecting data from all the IoT devices. And the key components of IoT, if I just go a little bit one step deeper, sensing nodes, and the sensors are connected with local embedded processing nodes. Then they have some kind of a communication modules, which are connectivity nodes. then software to automate tasks and enable new classes of service, remote embedded processing nodes, and last but not the least, full security across the signal path. So you'll say, what is different in the IoT? So we have been talking about IT, we have been talking about OT. Now we have got this IoT. IoT is not simply a device which is being enrolled there. So you see all these 6 different circles on the top. So there's a whole lot of work that goes into managing IoT device management, access management, compute management, protocol management, data management, and connectivity management. So I think we have all these use cases of IT and OT, which can be whether they are event-based action on real-time high-velocity data or query-based action on non-real-time volume data. With the help of bringing IoT paradigm into the IT and OT, I think this becomes a really wholesome, complete way of a comprehensive way of monitoring, controlling, and managing smallest devices to the largest infrastructures. So that's what different about IoT is. And talking about the application and business models, reality check of the hypes, myths, contemporary practices, and imperatives in shifting socio-techno scenarios shows us that most analysts project a 20% CAGR for IoT. And that's a faster adoption rate than growth of any economy. To some, that means that things are not broken. However, the ground reality in India, or even abroad for that matter, is a far cry from this rosy picture. All IoT companies are still struggling to get a foothold in the market, because the profit from IoT for different nations, different ecosystems, different stakeholders is highly dependent on the macro dynamics in their respective environment, countries, regions, and all that. A comprehensive environment scan of the macro dynamics within one's own techno-socio-economic environment can only help understand the impact on any IoT organization business revenues and provide actionable insights to address the challenges and develop a long-term strategy and roadmap to evolve and mature into a sustainable IoT organization. So why it has not proliferated? Because there are a lot of hurdles. As I said, it is difficult for innovation to happen across disjointed platforms and technology. The ecosystem of IoT is totally fragmented. And why? Because it is the most diverse and complicated value chain in any industry or consortium that exists in the world. In fact, the gold rush to IoT is so pervasive that if you combine much of the value chain of most industry trade associations, standards bodies, the ecosystem partners of trade associations and standard bodies, and then add in different technology providers feeding those industries, you get close to understanding the scope of the task. And in this absolutely heterogeneous scenario, coming up with common harmonized standards is one of the major hurdles. We need to see acceleration and maturing of common standard, more cross-sector collaboration, and creative approaches and business models to make IoT really successful. Hence, in spite of so much hype and even genuine potential, IoT paradigm has not proliferated in true sense to its desired potential. Another thing is that bringing IoT to life requires a comprehensive system approach, inclusive of intelligent processing and sensing technology, connectivity, software and services, along with a leading ecosystem partner. So these are some of the complications, okay, that is actually creating hurdles in the proliferation of IoT. This thing, to give IoT required momentum, device management platforms, cloud computing, and big data sciences in the virtual world are already flourishing and well geared up to meet the expectations of the designers. But the physical world needs to catch up. The wireless and networking technologies need to mature very fast. We need innovative approaches in deployment of large sensor or actuator networks. However, it is high time we bring some semblance into this chaotic paradigm by bringing system approach to resolve complex problems. There is still ample scope to harmonize quite many aspects and bring interoperability among multiple competing and or conflicting standards, be it in syntactic or semantic aspects or at different layers of protocols like network layer, application layer protocols in IoT. This is a typical IoT architecture and protocol. So these are devices where you have all those either Linux OS or whatever other simple this thing, radio module, low power apps, and then network operators, and then cloud servers. There's still a lot of work. I'll not, I think, the deep dive into this. There is on protocol and all that. The point I would like you to remember is the market is so fragmented that it is not funny that everybody is trying to do his own flavor of, same protocol, same thing, same technology, and the market is totally fragmented, heterogeneous, and consumer or user confidence is not really building up in a comprehensive manner. So these are a lot of challenges about the security, the endless IoT application, fragmentation, partnership between different, industries and users and ecosystem partners, industrial grade product rollout. And in India, we do not have that industrial grade product design manufacturing capabilities also, because everybody is more focused on software than hardware. We do not have competence in designing hardware product system solutions. So that is where another problem is. To sum it up, IoT paradigm is all about global neural networks of networks, homogeneous network of heterogeneous devices, industrial IoT versus consumer IoT, services versus applications, infrastructure versus enterprise versus home, and end-to-end security in the signal chain. So this is just to sum it up. Then there are some questions we have been asking: will the IoT sacrifice or save the environment? So there are a lot of use cases of monitoring the environment, monitoring the pollution in IoT. But what we are looking at is, when you have such a vast network of devices, each device own power consumption may look like very, very negligible or household. But the interesting part is, when you multiply that across the country, all this, IoT devices, that's going to boil down to another power station or another 2 power station requirement. Hence, IoT and AI need to help us fight climate change, but they also come at a cost to the planet. To truly benefit from the technology's climate solution, we also need a better understanding of IoT's and AI's growing carbon footprint. IoT and AI need to be developed and deployed so it can meet society's needs and protect the environment by saving more energy than it expands. So I think I'll come back to this point once again later on. But when it comes to IoT use cases, there are plenty of use cases ready for implementation. But yes, there are some issues in further proliferation, but technology-wise, they are ready. But let us look at how technologies help us in support of business evolution. You see, as the technologies keep on coming, new business models, new business cases, new business opportunities start evolving. If you see these 3 generation 2G, 3G performance enabling this thing. So we started having these, initially when in the field of broadband media, browsing and gaming were enabled. An intelligent traffic system, connected bus stop, connected cars, mining, voice communication, all that, remote health, voice communication, health monitoring. When we started having gigabit LTE and all that, and 5G, now we have, virtual reality in this car-to-car communication, fleet monitoring, process automation, personal assistant. And now when we are going further to the 5G, new radio and all that, RAN virtualization, we'll have further throughput of autonomous vehicles, remote control machinery, remote surgeries, 4K, 8K videos, and all these. So basically, if you see, it is all about use case evolution with supporting technology. As the technologies evolve, different use cases start getting, getting enabled, and they start evolving. And then it is up to us, how do we, leverage these technologies into different use cases, different problems within our business, society, industry, or wherever. So IoT, yes, needs a differentiated service level. And why I'm coming to this is because I'm heading towards 5G. And I think here, you would need to pay a little attention, because it might be of very interest to the IT people. So 5G is not just an evolutionary upgrade of the previous generation of cellular networks, but it is a revolutionary technology envisioned that will eliminate the bounds of access, bandwidth, performance, and latency limitation on connectivity worldwide. 5G technologies bring in universal connectivity angle that has not been present in the earlier generations of wireless technologies. With the potential of 5G networks to provide anytime, anywhere connectivity to anything, the number of applications or domains which can leverage this kind of connectivity will be quite large. 5G will be connectivity fabric of a new era of information technology that will transform every sector of economy and society. 5G has the potential to enable fundamentally new applications, industries, and business models, and dramatically improve quality of life around the world via unprecedented use cases that require high data rate, instantaneous communication, low latency, massive connectivity for new applications for mobile, e-health, autonomous vehicles, smart cities, smart home, industrial IoT, to name a few. Now, but this 5G has been enabled by a lot of technologies. Virtualization, IMS, SDN software-defined networks orchestration, EPC is evolved packet core, machine learning and robotics-based closed-loop self-healing, network slicing on transport and core layers, ultra-high storage and compute, big data stack with all the networks, customers' performance and crowdsourced data. And these are the, you can say 5G, the kind of wide range of requirement that it caters to are, depicted in this graphics, which is, I think, very, very famous graphic in 5G. So basically 5G caters to three broad use cases, including the enhanced mobile broadband, mission critical services, and massive IoT. So these are three basically this thing. And initial momentum is on enhanced mobile broadband, fixed wireless access, and fiber replacement. But later on, in next few years, we will also see mission critical control and massive IoT devices also being do. So what does the 5G bring in? 5G bring in a very interesting future architecture. One network to cater to diverse use cases. And what we are looking at in this thing is we are looking at 10 to 100x end user data rate, 5x lower latency, 1000x mobile data volumes, 10x battery life, 10 to 100x connected devices. A common network platform with dynamic and secure network slices. So with a common same network, you can have personalized, distinguished network slices, services for different use cases, different clients, different users. And so this is what the 5G brings in. So what are the design principles of 5G? Agnosticism, a microservice architecture, application resilience, state optimized design, orchestration and automation, internal automation and orchestration, and network level orchestration and automation. The key attributes are distributed architecture, network slicing, CUPSys control and user plane separation, cloud RAN radio access network, cloud-based. So yeah, any question? Virtual network function on cloud native digital services, microservices architecture, continuously evolving software and DevOps. So you see where your interest could be. So this is all. So 5G brings actually has softwareized the telecom completely. So, but the issue is these are all core IT technologies, but leverage into telecom, which need a little more, you can say, structured understanding of the telecom and more customization. So a lot of IT people are getting absorbed into the 5G ecosystem, but you need to understand the telecom constraint, because they are very skeptical about the usual way the IT guys work on. But this is a discussion I can have anytime, or maybe in Q&A I can delve more into this. But this is something, a field which IT specialists could look into if they want to diversify from the normal IT subs or the kind of things you are doing. The skill sets are the same. Application is different with a new understanding of the telecom ecosystem. So from 4G to 5G, what do we bring? Major differences from user point of view between 4G and 5G must be something other than faster speed. Higher number of simultaneously connected devices, higher spectral efficiency, lower battery consumption, lower outage probability, high bit rates in large portions of the coverage area, lower latencies, higher number of supported devices, lower infrastructure deployment cost, higher versatility and scalability, and higher reliability of communication. So if you want to sum it up, there are three major things from 5G: super efficient mobile network, super fast mobile network, and a converged fiber wireless network. So 5G is not about only wireless. The backhaul, because we are looking at a very high bandwidth, backhaul will be fiber only. Okay, so that's the kind of expectation you can have from 5G. But then 5G is only the beginning. It's the car left. You see on the left hand side, the Carl Benz automobile of the internet. Where we are heading towards is on the what you see in the right side, and that's what is all what we are expecting. We've already started working on 6G. So 6G is all about tactile internet, and with help of AI, it will be able to help control objects remotely. Whether all the use cases, whether it is autonomous cars or whether Industry 4.0 or guided surgery, Corona app, all these things, immersive experiences, they will all be basically 6G and AI together will help us realize all these use cases in a comprehensive manner, which even 5G may not be able to address to larger extent, or maybe able to address partially, but all those will be remaining expectation will be fulfilled by 6G. But 6G is non-evolutionary tactile internet challenges. It also has its own challenges which are being worked upon. So these are some of the challenges. You may not be directly interested, but you can refer to it later on. But the interesting part is what 6G is all about. It's about enabling the tactile internet towards RF for ambient cognition. That is the real key towards 6G. And you know this story of 1G to 6G net to cellular networking. 1G and 2G was about voice. 3G, 4G was about data. Okay, and the traffic was dominated by video. Okay, yeah, earlier it was dominated by voice. Now 5G and 6G is about remote control tactile internet. Traffic dominated by correlational data. What could be next? We will see after 2030 once 6G reaches a maturity that what is going next. So 5G provides a foundation for massive broadband, cloud native, pervasive connectivity, open and programmable, autonomic networks, time-sensitive communication. A generation of many first, but as they say, much remains to be completed, which we plan to achieve in the 6G this thing. And projecting a path towards universal autonomy through 6G is about virtualize, adopt, federate, optimize, and realize for universal autonomy. Complete the foundation with time-sensitive communication, embed security in the foundation, bridge wireless networking and cloud edge-to-edge continuum. So this is what we are looking at in the 5G and 6G. And now coming to the most hyped word is the artificial intelligence. And we all know that AI has become the way of life today because algorithms decide for every individual. The impossible war that is still going on and a lot of discussion, debates are going on, human intelligence versus the artificial intelligence. Why? Because YouTube today, you have seen, decides us for what videos to watch next. Twitter decides us whom to vote for and where to travel, etc. All other social media apps, they help us decide what to buy. What they are doing? Targeting individual against target groups using leveraging AI. But before we go to AI, let's look at a step back and take a step back and look at intelligence. Intelligence is the capacity to do right things at the right time. In a context where doing nothing or making no change in behavior would be worse. Intelligence then requires capacity to perceive context for action, capacity to act, and capacity to associate context to actions. By this definition, even plants are intelligent. They can perceive and respond to the direction of light, for example. The more conventional understanding of intelligence includes being cognitive, that is being able to learn new contexts and action and the association between them. So there are multiple interesting taxonomies for AI. You can go through this later on. System that think like human, system that act like human, system that think rationally, system that act, okay. And AI also has been passed into 5 general categories: logical reasoning, knowledge representation, planning and navigation, natural language processing, and perception. So these are the 5 major categories where a lot of work is going on, and it has been categorized into 5 classifications. But then there are a lot of concerns about domestic and commercial AI. Will AI outcompete us? Will AI undermine societal stability? Will AI harm privacy, personal liberty, and autonomy? Okay. Human memory has been outstripped by books for centuries. Mere intelligence is no more of a direct threat than mere strength. So a lot of, would digital brain have a mind? AI can give you a digital brain, but can it give you the mind? Although human brain and digital computers share many traits, simulating the mind in silicon may be impossible. Obvious parallels exist between the brain and digital computers. To fulfill their responsibility to themselves and to others who might be misled by journalistic hyperbole, computing professionals should have a well-founded opinion about the extent of these parallels. The profession should refrain from applying humanistic names to the mechanistic endeavors, and it must be conscious always of essential difference between people and computers. So here's a quick video I'd like to show you that with AI, where we are heading.
We have something much bigger. Your kids probably have one of these, right? Not quite. Autopilot? No. That skill is all AI. It's flying itself. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. The stochastic motion is an anti-sniper feature. Just like any mobile device these days, it has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of sheep explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. That is an airstrike of surgical precision. It's one of a range of products. Trained as a team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. They cannot be stopped. Said this was big. Why? Because we are thinking big. Watch. A $25 million order now buys this. Enough to kill half a city. The bad half. Nuclear is obsolete. Take out your entire enemy, virtually risk-free. Just characterize him, release the swarm, and rest easy.
This short film is more than just speculation. It shows the results of integrating and miniaturizing technologies that we already have. I'm Stuart Russell, a professor of computer science at Berkeley. I've worked in AI for more than 35 years. Its potential to benefit humanity is enormous, even in defense. Allowing machines to choose to kill humans will be devastating to our security and freedom. Thousands of my fellow researchers agree. We have an opportunity to prevent the future you just saw, but the window to act is closing fast.
I'm sorry, Dave.
So you see the kind of future we can have with AI, okay, positive as well as negative. And that reminds me of, Asimov's laws of robotics. Law 1, robots must never harm human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Law 2, robots must follow instruction from human without violating rule 1. Law 3, robots must protect themselves without violating the other rules. But these laws are being questioned today because they are contradictory at times in the field situation. So you need to understand that whenever we talk about any new disruptive technologies, what kind of conundrum we are facing as a human being, how to deal with them. So I think that itself demands a very, very judicious approach to leveraging any new technology that we are looking at. So what we need, instead of artificial intelligence, what I'll suggest is we need artificial intelligence. use your heart also in this thing. As they say, dil and dimag dono ko istemal kariye, for rather than simply using it as a robotic brain only. So, okay, there are so many other issues on the ethics and all that, and you can go through that later on. I'll not get into that. There's a lot of work going on. But let's come to the one more thing before we get down to the closing section. So, digital transformation. The society, the business, the infrastructure, and the services, and all other aspects of civilization on this planet Earth today are going through a paradigm shift in the wake of technological advancement, especially in the field of ICT. All the ecosystems, be it smart cities, smart grids, smart buildings, smart factories, now find themselves making three classes of transformation. Improvement of infrastructure to make it resilient and sustainable, addition of digital layer, which is the essence of the smart paradigm, and business process transformation necessary to capitalize on the investment in smart technologies. The genesis of digital transformation, if you really ask me, is sustainability is the true destination, resilience is the core characteristics of digital transformation, and smart is merely the accelerator, and standards are the chromosomes of digital infrastructure. But what this digital transformation comprises of, and if you really look at the digital transformation constraints, normally people associate it with the information technologies and operational technologies. But today we have two more new aspects that we need to add into this is network technologies, because network technologies have come into their own this thing. They need a total attention and understanding in depth, and IoT, which have become very pervasive. And last but not the least, we have another whiz kid on the block, which we just talked about, AI. AI has become so pervasive, whether you talk about IT, whether you talk about OT, NT, IoT, artificial intelligence is being leveraged everywhere, and that it can help a lot of use cases in every domain. Okay, so what is digital transformation? Is it a technology? No. It is a complex paradigm with domain-specific implications, because we are today living in an ephemeral world, very transient world. And digital transformation has different meaning for different this thing, okay, and different stakeholders leverage it in different way. So business models are changing, and digital transformation is not thinking about your IT, but only leveraging IT, but thinking about your business model and leveraging IT for enabling new business models. And there are unlimited business model that digital transformation today enables. For example, from mass production, if you remember the 4 days, you can have any color as long as it's black. To we have reached a stage of mass customization. Each shoe can be customized by all these Nikes and Adidas and all these people. They're actually delivering it like that. So what we need to be disruptive and creative and yet simple. If you remember that film 3 Idiot and the virus pen. So this is a real interesting example that in 1960 NASA was faced with a major problem. Astronaut needed a pen that would write in a vacuum of space. NASA developed the astronaut pen for $15 million, and the Russians were faced with the same dilemma. They used a pencil. Well, it's a different story. That pencil has its own issues, but just to give you an example, whenever you're talking about technology, yes, we need to be disruptive, we need to be creative, but remember, whatever complicated technology we leverage at the end for a user, for the customer, it has to be very simple to use. And another thing we cannot miss to talk about is data. Data is everywhere today, in any use case, everywhere, all this thing. And what do we need the problem is, if data is the oil of the 21st century, as everybody talks, what I would say, big data is the crude oil. Why? Because it needs a lot of processing before it becomes usable. And with widespread adoption of cloud.
Kishore sir, sorry to interrupt. We would love to go on with the session, but we're just running out of the time. We have a hard stop at 10:50. So apologies for interrupting in mid. Probably you can take a couple of minutes to sum this up for us, and then we can take a couple of questions which I see in the chat.
So just concluding this aspect, when we talk about data and this thing, what we are looking at is data's perilous journey about I'm talking about cybersecurity and all these issues. Okay, and I'll just close with after closing this point. Okay, it's all about data, and we have a lot of issues in the journey of the data for digital transformation of any use case everywhere. So what is the new challenge? Securing the fifth dimension, the cyberspace. And there's a very complex cyber threat landscape. Our the hackers are much ahead of the defense landscape. Our attack landscape is much more agile, much more active, much more this thing. So today we need a security philosophy which is intrinsic security, not an extrinsic, not a patch on, but a security by design in every system. Because we have examples of we already are the walking host. How many IPs do we carry as an individual? We can look at. So today we do not need, as already showed by AI, but within the IoT itself, you can see a chain is as strong as the weakest link. Today we don't need you can say nuclear bombs or anything. We just need some bunch of good hackers to bring a nation down. And you have seen so many examples in recent years of the cyber hacking at the national level itself. So I'll close with this slide. So what we need: cyber immunity and cyber resilience. Pandemic-induced digital transformation has increased exposure to cyber threats as we cross the digital fault lines due to remote working and escalated online presence. To counter this, an intuitive and adaptive cyber posture defined by zero latency networks and quantum leaps will be needed across industries. These developments, while great for humanity, will challenge privilege, privacy, and defend every citizen. Cyber immunity is a new buzzword that will create IT networks that are inherently secure and self-learning. AI-induced digital intuition is one of the pillars that will allow intelligent adoption. The ability of AI systems to out-innovate malicious attacks by mimicking various aspects of human immunity will be the line of defense to attain cyber resilience based on both supervised and unsupervised machine learning. These systems will be designed to make the right decisions with the context-based data, preempt attacks on the basis of initial indicators of compromise or attack, and take intuitive remedial measures, allowing enterprise to be more resilient. I think I'll stop at that. There's another paradigm of trustworthiness beyond cybersecurity, which we are looking at now, but I'll stop at it. Okay, I'll not get into any. So I think I'll just like to stop at one last slide before. Yeah, this is the only last slide. So my takeaway for you all guys would be very simple. We humans need to radically change our relationships, not just with the planet, but with the objects with which we fill our lives. We need to change how we think about technology and innovation. Rather than allowing technological advancements to steer our narratives, innovation and technology should help us build bridges between the worlds we inhabit now and the ones we imagine for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This was indeed a great learning session for us. We can probably plan a part 2 of this session. There were a lot to learn from. So I'll take a couple of questions which I see in the chat. So there's one question which says that, yes, we see there is a lot of innovation going around in the field of technology, disruptive technologies. So what do you think are our engineering and education system improvising, and do you think they have improvised their curriculum and the way they are educating us, or they are outdated with respect to the advancement?
I think this was part of my slide deck, but as in with lack of time, I could not cover. But I think this is one of the very poignant question and the problem that we want to do. So the problem is that our education system has become reduced to a game of numbers. Okay, over time it has become qualification oriented rather than knowledge oriented. Okay, so what we need is we need to convert out. If you remember, India was known as the knowledge economy way back in couple of millennials back. We need to bring that kind of a values back in the education system. It has to start from education. Our education system needs to be more inclusive. We need lot of new subjects, and design is one thing which nobody is teaching today. Design thinking, critical thinking, system thinking, the system integrated a lot of new approaches to have a holistic understanding of how to be successful in the field, rather than just have a degree or a diploma or a certificate. Even within IT, if you see what you are told in colleges are basic C and assembly and a few more languages, Java and all that. But when you come to field, you have to every day keep on learning a lot of new things. So I think education system has to be more inclusive, more adaptive, and more industry ready. Otherwise, it will never really help this thing. So I think rather than simply following the age-old curriculum, this thing which revised 5 to 10 years, it has to be with the industry orientation needs, but then industry also has to, get involved in academia. So these two ecosystems are working in silos, particularly in India. If you see in the US and all that, all the universities, even the research and all that, their faculty there, they have to work with the industry. And industry also leverages education system, research and design capabilities of within the institutions, academia, in a very, very significant manner. There's a close collaboration. In India, there's that kind of collaboration is missing.
One last question. So question and the counter question. So somebody is asking, when are we going to get 5G network in India? And then there's another question, what is the environmental impact of 5G with high power electromagnetic radiation?
Okay, so no, so let me tell you, yeah, 5G, I think we should have deployment by next year. But initial it will be, as I mentioned, initial use cases are enhanced mobile broadband and not the other two ones, the ultra reliable low latency this thing and massive IoT. That will be a few years down the lane. But the environmental impact, let me tell you, every technology has an environmental impact, not only radiation, even the carbon footprint. Like 5G is leveraging AI, ML, supercomputing in a very heavy way. Even that has a carbon footprint. So the interesting part, but anyway, so the difference between 5G and 4G is right now, 5G is all about femtocells. There'll not be these towers that you see in your, cities. Their power will not increase with 5G. What will happen? There'll be more small cells distributed at a smaller distance with a much more density, with a smaller power, which will carry to a lower range. So power is not going to increase. Okay. The only thing is going to be, instead of this thing, your cellular tower, this thing, you can say base stations or whatever you would like to call them, every few kilometers, you will have every few 100 meters in the femtocells or small cells, whatever you would like to call them, which will cater to a smaller region with a better throughput, and their backbone would be fiber. So that is the approach. So, but yes, radiation is there. You cannot say, the microwave you use at home, that also affects your food, but do you stop using it? So you have to learn to have a balance in this thing. You can't have your cake and eat it too, otherwise we can go to Stone Age. I hope it answers.
Thank you so much. Yes, it did. I hope Amar is you got your answer. Okay. So thank you, Kishore sir. It was very insightful session. We learned a lot. And if I have to say, my key takeaway from this session would be artificial intelligence. Let's start thinking about heart while doing the innovation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure sharing my thoughts with you. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, everyone.